All right, as the Southwest security outfit called Amotekun increases in popularity and acceptability amongst Nigerians despite its public criticisms, more support for unconventional security outfits to take off keeps increasing.
That's right. More so, apart from the support for the geopolitical zone of Nigeria by some elder statesmen, other geopolitical zones are beginning to consider setting up a regional security outfit too. So
joining us now from Abuja studio is Nigerian environmental and human rights activist Annkio Briggs, who's also the founder and executive director of non-governmental organization Agape Birthrights. But before we start with Amotekun and regional security in Nigeria, I would like her to bring us to speed as regards the audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission. Annkio was here a couple of weeks back, in fact last year, to talk about this. I know you're very passionate about this, man. Good to see you. Happy New Year. What's the update, man?
Thank you. Happy New Year. Well, the update is that the Niger Delta people are still insisting that the audit should go on, and that the present, whether it's acting MD or the three-man committee headed by Dr. Joy Yowika of Rivers State, should continue in that position. Now, we're very worried in the Niger Delta with the sort of pressure that we are seeing and hearing that is being applied on the person of Joy Yowika and the team to stop, if you like, to stall the audit, which is not acceptable. I mean, when politics begin to threaten people's lives, when people are doing their job, it's not acceptable, and it is not going to be acceptable if somebody like Joy Yowika is going to be threatened because of the job that she is doing. There has been a lot of corruption. There's been a lot of rot in the Niger Delta, in all the agencies, as a matter of fact, as far as we're concerned, to do with the Niger Delta region, whether in the area of development or justice and equity. And if we have somebody that wants to stand up and do the right thing, the call to kill her, to threaten her, all those things are not going to work. We're going to stand with her as long as she's prepared to do what is right for the people of the Niger Delta. It really doesn't even matter what party she belongs to. As long as she's from Niger Delta and as long as she's doing the right thing for the Niger Delta people, we will support her, and she has all our full support and the support of the Niger Delta self-determination movement to do the right thing in making sure that this audit goes on and is concluded and it's seen to its logical conclusion. And she will not die because she's standing for the right thing to do in the Niger Delta.
Speaking about doing what's right for the people, I want to bring it to Amotekun. Now, since the launch of this regional security outfit, there have been widespread responses, and a certain train of thought has said that the Southwest geopolitical zone of Nigeria plans to use Amotekun to secede from Nigeria. I want to know what your train of thought is on this, seeing as even the governor of Ekiti State, Governor Kayode Fayemi, has come out to say that this is simply to protect the people from these 6 states. If they are safe and secure, Nigeria as a whole is safe and secure. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, definitely, it's only someone who has not been in Nigeria, or even if you're outside of Nigeria, if you don't read about what is going on in Nigeria, then you will pretend not to know how serious the issue of insecurity is when it concerns people carrying arms. I mean, we started off years ago, decades ago, with people being killed because of their farmland by headsmen. Let's not beat about the bush. And then we have, and then Boko Haram came into the picture, and places like the Middle Belt, then Southwest, Southeast, and even the Niger Delta region have suffered there to a very large extent their own onslaught of people being killed, being raped in their farmland so that cattle or cow can graze, because some people say it is their birthright. No. So if today we have a situation where the Southwest have finally decided that it is a basic human right, it is a right of government to protect life and property. Nigeria has signed up to the international rights of that protocol. It is in our constitution that the basic duty of any government, state government, local government, and federal government is first and foremost to protect the life of people. Now, when you are in a government like we are today in Nigeria, where the army is overwhelmed by Boko Haram, the states are overwhelmed by Boko Haram, and farmers across Nigeria are overwhelmed by herdsmen, and you come to the conclusion that your right to life must be protected. And if you find yourself in a situation where the government of the day is not able and not willing even to protect your life, then it is a right. It's not a force. It is a right for you to protect your life and your property. Now, the governors are the people responsible for the protection of lives and property in their state. And if the Southwest have taken the responsibility for once to do this, then we all must support the Southwest and the Southeast, the South, the Niger Delta, the Northeast, North Central, all the geopolitical zones must come together in their separate zones and in their separate states to guarantee life and property. There is no argument, there is no discourse to say that people will use this to secede from Nigeria. The discussion of secession, the discussion of self-determination, federalism, 100% resource ownership and control and management of natural resources is a discussion totally on its own. But the discussion of life and property is no less important than all the other discussions of rights of the people to develop themselves. In the Niger Delta, we're talking about using our resources to develop ourselves. But you cannot develop yourself if you're not alive. And so the issue of security is very important. Governor Wike in Rivers State last year put together along the lines of what Lagos had, which is the neighborhood watch, and he was stopped. And so we need to retrace, and this was actually put in place by a bill that was passed in the State Assembly of Rivers State. And so we need to call on all our governors in our region, especially starting with Rivers State government. We need to revisit the neighborhood watch so that we can guarantee and secure the rights of our people to stay alive.
Quick break now, Annkio. We'll just quickly go on a quick break now. We'll come back and we'll talk some more. All right, welcome back to the morning show here on the Rise News. We've got environmental and human rights activist Annkio Briggs with us. We're talking about the current debacle on Amotekun going on. I just wanted to ask a question. We had some people, from a group called Mieti Allah did say that this was going to affect the presidential ambitions of the Southwest in 2023. I mean, I want you to help us understand how a security outfit to protect people is definitely going to affect, as Mieti Allah says, a presidential ambition in 2023.
Well, it is rather a pity that Mieti Allah sees itself as a political party and also as an arm of government, because if it doesn't see itself as such, it is a business. Mieti Allah is about cattle rearing and cattle rearers. And so if we are talking, if cattle, an organization protecting the interests of cattle rearers are talking like that, then we need organizations of fishermen from the Niger Delta to also take a position on political issues. Look, we're trying to pretend in Nigeria that what is real is not real. And this is where the problem really is. And this is where people will begin to discuss the issues of secession, because when people begin to feel that they are not part of the system, first of all, the Southwest has already done 8 years of presidency under Obasanjo. The Niger Delta have done 4 elected years under Goodluck Jonathan, and one that he finished the remaining year of Yaradua. And so even if the presidency is going to go back, when the presidency is going to go back to the South, which it should, then it cannot, the Southwest cannot, in all honesty and with serious morals, say that it qualifies. It does not qualify, because in the South we have 3 zones. They have done 8. The Niger Delta people have done 4 elected years. So you can say that there is 4 elected years remaining for the Niger Delta people. Now, the Igbos have not done any at all. So if you want to be fair, because the South, the Niger Delta, have done 4 elected years, and one that finished up the one of Yaradua, then we can say by mathematics that the Niger Delta should do another 3 years if we're going by 1 + 1 is 2. And then to say that the Igbos will do 8 years. So the Southwest have no business, in my opinion, to even attempt or say that they are planning, unless if zoning and rotating is no longer the issue. Then if zoning and rotating is no longer the issue, then we must bring on the table the issue of self-determination. We must bring on the table the issue of resource ownership and resource control. We must bring to the table before 2023 the issue of zoning, zonal or regionalism back to the table. But whether we like it or not, if we do not discuss these things, the prospect of 2020, in the opinion of the Niger Delta self-determination movement, is not even up for discussion. Okay. Because we need to have a situation of equity and justice in Nigeria.
Okay, all right. You talked about rotation and zoning. I just wanted to ask, where is that in the Nigerian constitution? If you can point where it is for me, I'll be so happy. Coupled with that, and Sheita is going to ask you some questions. The Attorney General did say at first it was not constitutional. After the meeting with the Vice President, it looks all over. Sheita, you want to add some questions to it?
I mean, definitely at this point, one of the biggest issues is the model bills that have been drafted. We're talking about personnel being able to have the power to arrest criminals when Amotekun is in fruition. Now, my question to you is this: should they be limited to just intelligence gathering, or should they have the power to arrest criminals? As well as at this point that the meeting has happened, should it be on hold up until the legal framework has been adjusted, or can Amotekun take place, as so to speak?
It's funny that this government, when it suits it, talks about constitution, and when it doesn't suit it, does not talk about constitution. If we're talking about the constitution, let us scrap the constitution of 1999, because it is not the constitution of we, the people of Nigeria. So having said that, I hope that answers the question of zoning and no zoning. Now, going back to the second question. Now, in Kano, we have Isba. In Taraba, we have Anumi. In the northeast, civilian JTF, Kaduna, Sokoto, Yan, Banga, and all these places. Now, for years, people in the north have had organizations, even to pursue religious issues, which Christians don't have. Where in the Constitution is that? Now, if these people in the north, in Zamfara, can carry arms, and Kano, they can arrest even policemen for whatever reason, then I see no reason why any other neighborhood watch or protection group from any other part of Nigeria, whether it be the state or zonal, why they also should not. What is good for the goose has to be good for the gander. If his bar is arresting people, then the Amotekun should be allowed to arrest people. If people like Yambanga is carrying arms, then the Amotekun also should be able to carry arms. We see very clearly headsmen, these are businessmen, headsmen carrying AK-47. What permission do they have? Where in the Constitution? Why can't fishermen carry arms? Where in the Constitution do we see that we can have Hisbah police and we can have Yambanga? It is because, first of all, we have a police system, no fault of the police force, that they are unable to even provide the legally expected ratio of policemen to citizens that is accepted all over the world. Nigeria cannot provide that. And Nigeria cannot provide the ratio of military men to the ratio of citizens for them to be able to protect the external and internal aggression that may come to their citizens. So if that be the case, and the states are recognized on paper as the chief security officers of their states, it means that they must be allowed to carry out this responsibility in their states, in their local government areas. And that's why it is very important that we run a government in Nigeria that is fair and equitable. We cannot have one law for the northern part of Nigeria that works for the north and have another law in the southern part of Nigeria that is totally not working for the south of Nigeria in terms of development, in terms of justice and equity, and in terms of rights to resources, and in terms of security. As I said earlier, if you don't have security, every other thing falls apart. Because
I just wanted to come in here. What would you say real quickly about some people that are saying, oh, the reason why the governors are pushing this Amotekun is just to be able to justify their security vote, which is illegal in the first place? What would you say about those people?
The issue of security votes will not even arise if, one, the states are allowed to keep their resources, to develop their states and pay tax to federal government. There are states that have been created that are not viable, that without oil allocation, oil revenue going to them, these states cannot even pay their salaries of running their government. When you get married to a wife and you cannot rent a house and you cannot pay your children's school fees and you cannot give money to your wife to go to market, you're not a husband and you're not a man, and you shouldn't have married in the first place. It applies to these unviable states in Nigeria that cannot pay salaries without my oil money, that cannot develop their states without my oil money.
Okay, we'd like to say a very big thank you to you, Annkio Briggs, for joining us and sharing your thoughts about this. Very rich conversation we had with you. Thank you so much for getting out of Port Harcourt and coming all the way from Abuja. That brings us to the end of the show today. I'm Rufai Oseni.
And I'm Shaitan Atigari. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow us on all the social media handles showing now on the screen. This is Arise News.